Hello everybody, my name is the Reviewer. Welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be reviewing the first two Tron movies for the celebration of the third Tron Aries, releasing this Friday. I'm going to be doing the same thing I did with my Strangers review, where I'll be giving my review, but also be kind of doing like a little recap on the first two. Now if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch Tron from 1982 and Tron Legacy. I'll be reviewing both of those, and if you don't want to be spoiled, go check those out. But if you're too lazy to go turn them on, just, I guess, watch me recap them. So, sit down, grab your popcorn, grab a drink, and let's get into this. Tron from 1982. Okay, so I have some thoughts on Tron. I think it's fine. I don't have the nostalgia that most people probably did with the first one. But we follow Jeff Bridges' character, who's a video game designer, who has this, who's made this video game, and basically you follow these people inside this video game. Basically these characters are basically trying to live their life, however, and basically the game is run by tiny people with this awesome, very not outdated CGI. I mean, it was the 80s, so I do give them props for that. I mean, that's another thing, is that this CGI is very outdated. This looks like PS1 type graphics, man. But also the designs, but anyway, we follow Jeff Bridges' character Flynn, who is a talented video game designer who used to work for Ecom, the video game, corporation, basically, and basically, we follow the bad guy of this, Ed Dillinger, I think, who stole Finn's brilliant video game design, Dillinger, and he's basically like some old, boss, and basically, he is now like a computer game, and basically he has this thing called like a master control, which is basically this AI thing that talks to him, basically, and talks to him in the real world, and then talks to the video game people in the video game area, in the computer world. But basically the master control wants this thing called the Kremlin, which is basically, I don't know what it really does. I kind of forgot because this movie's actually kind of boring, and I fell asleep through it, so I had to rewatch it again. I'm sorry, Tron 82 fans. Anyway, Flynn, when he's done hacking, goes to the arcade where he's an absolute pro at this game and getting some huzz. Anyway, Baines, who is one of the characters, actually helps Flynn break into Encom so that he can basically start hacking their files and get his game back. And basically, he gets the evidence to destroy Dillinger, which is a design to monitor communications around, from the real world, but from the computer text. Anyway, this girl named Laura is actually designing a laser that kind of looks like the laser, but looks kind of similar to is it the laser from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids? It kind of looks like that to me. I don't know why. But anyway, basically Flynn gets sucked in by accident, and basically he goes into the Tron world, basically. Anyway, he gets put into this room, or this world with all these beautiful graphics, and gets put into this little weird electric suit, now becoming very ghostly white. Pause. We're also introduced to our secondary villain, who's kind of the same person as Dillinger, named Sark, who is the villain and the headmaster or master control of the Tron world. I don't know what you call it. I will say, what's so funny about Tron is that, now after watching all three Tron movies, or, well, going to watch three, but it's kind of funny to imagine that there's, there could be, little people inside my computer right now programming this, or inside my phone when I'm recording with. There could be inside all of our electronics, and we just don't know. I guess that's one thing that I will like about the Tron movies. Anyway, Flynn gets captured by Sark with the other programs to be sent to this kind of prison world. Flynn actually just survives these battles because he's obviously the program and the maker, so obviously he'll know how to beat these people. Now he meets Tron, who looks just like Alan, because it is Alan. Let me get this straight. So basically, anytime someone makes something, or they're involved in the real world, they just have their own version of themselves in the computer world. It's kind of hard to comprehend, not gonna lie. I guess it's another negative I have. Or no, that's their users. That's the name of their users. So I guess their users are basically them, but they're basically, after they join forces, they need to go to the output tower, which is basically where Sark and all of them are, so they can finally destroy this thing once and for all. They're introduced with another program named Ram, who quickly dies. I'm so sorry, but why do they a person dies, right, in this movie, and then they basically, they die, and then they're no, Carl, Alright, he's dead, let's go. Very good acting. Now here is where we get introduced to a lot of cool flying creatures while they are while they're going in. We get all these like little like cool things that honestly one of them looked like they're in the poster. I don't know why in the new Tron Aries poster that kind of looks like one of them. I don't know, still looks cool. And then now we're introduced to Laura, who is now also in the Tron world, but basically there's this cool literal copy and paste Star Wars scene of them. But this is when Tron dies again in another lackluster emotional scene where none of them cry. They're like, "Oh no, Tron! Alright, he's dead. Let's go." I don't know what it is, man. But because he's the user and maker, he can actually, Finn can actually, control stuff that other people can't, like resurrecting people, changing stuff in the game, and it kind of is a cool power scene. I do like that scene a lot. Now we get to the final battle between this like rolling thing that looks like a head, the MCP, and with Sark, where Sark becomes a ginormous thing, and then Finn, since he's the creator, kills him and basically defeats him once and for all. And then they kiss each other at the end. Aww, so romantic. Flynn sacrifices himself by going into the MCP when Tron, since he got resurrected, throws his disc into the thing, destroying it once and for all. And then in the end, basically everybody survives, yada yada yada, go back to the real world, but the paper prints off the evidence to destroy. But the evidence comes out for Flynn, being the true designer, and that the bad guy was truly stealing his plans, and that is Tron. Look, there's some things I like about Tron. I do respect it. I do like the 80s charm to it. It does give me vibes of Back to the Future, kinda, and Star Wars. I like those, scenes. But those visuals, man, are so outdated. But else, too, like, the emotion, the acting doesn't really feel like acting. It kind of feels like you can get, like some people off the streets to act, and so yeah, that's why I'm just not the biggest fan of that. But I will say I think there's some things I just still do like. But if I would rank it, I would say I definitely would not rewatch this much. Now I'm getting into Tron Legacy. Let's talk about that. Tron Legacy. Now I think that Tron Legacy is the Tron movie that I really enjoy. I like Tron Legacy a lot. I think Tron Legacy takes everything that I hate about the original and actually makes it good. Likeable characters, good acting, top tier visuals, like I'm talking Avatar type visuals, to me at least. And I don't know, man. I think it just rolls all together. I think it makes me honestly think it makes me like the original one better, if I'm being honest. So let's just recap this movie and let's get. Now we're taking place in 1989, about a few years later after the first Tron movies. We're introduced to Flynn again, who's now the CEO of Incom, because now obviously Dillinger got let him die anyway. But he sees his son and he tells him has a little heart to heart with his kid. Basically he's gonna go do something real quick, and basically he tells him that we're gonna go to the arcade. But after a couple weeks pass, his dad does return home, where his son named Sam runs off on his bike to go find his dad. Where we're introduced several years later to where his son is now 20, has a sweet motorcycle and a rad haircut. Where basically he's going into Ecom to go, try to find some files or try to find something on the security footage for his dad. Where he's basically being chased by the security guard, and he actually gets some updates actually messing with Ecom, since he believes that they must have done something to his dad. And right after this, basically Sam returns home because he has his cool parachute, but luckily unfortunately he goes to prison, but he luckily gets to return home safe. Anyway, Alan comes to visit him. If you don't remember Alan, he was in the first movie, and I thought that was a really interesting, nice cameo. But anyway, he gives him the keys to the old Flynn's arcade, where he might just find a clue or something to get a clue to where his dad might be. He basically gets zapped by the laser, the one that zapped his father many years ago. This is where he gets into the Tron world, where everybody thinks he's just another programmer, but they actually have this sweet gladiator fight where it's learned that his dad, Flynn, is actually the head around all this. Basically, we have this sick gladiator type fight with all the programs where they basically learn by a drop of blood that he's a maker, and they all start respecting him now. But when he sees his dad, something is not up, and his dad's acting not like himself, and he actually acts normal. Might just be me, but does his dad not look so AI generated to me? Like, his face ain't that shiny, man. His face is not that shiny. I don't know if it's the lighting, The hair, the beard, the creepy smile. I can't tell, but that is not a normal human. But we learned this is a program that was created by Flynn, and that's why he looks like him. I guess that makes sense. Not really. I don't know. I still get confused about the whole grid programming, normal human maker, stuff like that. It's too much lore. Anyway, right as he's about to get beat up, basically an ATV type car comes up and saves him. We're introduced to a new named Cora, who actually knows where his father is in the grid. Basically, they drive to him where we're finally seeing his father once in there. Anyway, his father explains that he had Clue as one of his healthy programmers to help, make the grid better. But Clue became so obsessed with wanting power that it basically, turned on him, and he basically destroyed most of this, stuff that would help the grid, and he basically threw his father in some, spot, but luckily he escaped, and basically now it's just Clue being the whole master and evil tech head behind all this, madness. Sam's ride with a portal that is now, was closed for the longest time is now open because of Sam, just getting there. Basically, this is their key to escape and be free home, because his dad knows that this happened to him once, so he can obviously try to do it again, but help his son. And with this cool fight scene with all these other people, I guess, I don't really know, but basically where Cora and Sam fight off these people to try to get to Clue, and Cora's arm gets melted off. I always felt that scene kind of was like, oh man. Anyway, while they're fighting off Clue gets his dad's disc, which could help him get the real world. This is why they don't get to the portal, because they want to defeat Clue. But since he has the real disc, he can now control the real world, which is definitely not a good sign. Now Clue gives a true General Hux speech and another speech. I'm not gonna say what, but he basically tells them that they can be free. They don't have to be these slaves anymore. They can finally be off in the real world and try to take over humanity as they try to ruin them. Very original. Anyway, we get this super cool fight scene between all these things and stuff like that, where they switch out one of the discs that Clue has, because while they were fighting, he switched out one of the discs, and now since the portal's open, he can now take that disc to the real world. Anyway, while Clue's about to stop him, Kevin or Flynn absorbs them together, where they both explode, Kevin sacrificing himself for his son and his friend, which is a very, very, very sad way to go, because I did like the Flynn character in this movie a lot. It also explodes the grid, where at the end of the movie, Sam and Cora basically go off into the sunset, basically, while the sun is rising, and basically, she finally sees the sunrise and gets to see this fresh air since she was. Hey everybody, is my review on the first two Tron movies. Oh wait, I forgot to do a ranking. My ranking for Tron Legacy would probably be an 8.1. I really do like it. I guess if I would talk my complaints, pacing can get iffy at some moments, and it kind of does have some story issues. I think the Tron movies were never the best with their story, but I do like the story a lot better than Tron. I don't like Tron, guys. I'm sorry. I'm a Tron hater. Sorry. But there, everybody, is my review on the first two Tron movies. I just want to thank you all so much for coming in, checking this out. This was a really fun video. My Tron Aries review will be coming at some point. I'm going to go see that, and I'll give you all a review at some point. Yeah, stay tuned for that. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.